Welcome to the Innovation Interview Series. My name is Chris Runde. I'm the Director of the Airport Innovation Accelerator here at AAAE. And today I'm in the studio with Kerry Frank, co-founder and CEO of Comply365. Welcome, Kerry.
Hi, thanks for having me today, Chris.
Thank you for coming. So, if you don't mind, would you mind starting with a little background on yourself and how Comply365 came into being?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, and I kind of have a funny journey and story, but I started this company in the basement of my home a long time ago and had this crazy idea that I could revolutionize aviation and the way we work. And really just did this by working with clients, started with the airlines, and started to look at what core problems they had and really found that mobility could be the answer to a lot of their problems, and we could streamline a lot of processes for them. So a lot of people know me because I was an innovator around the electronic flight bag for the airlines, but we do so much more today for the entire enterprise. And today we have 75% of the North American airline market, and we are expanding rapidly into that aviation ecosystem. So it's a really fun story of just, somebody that started from scratch, and now we're just this big company that, has incredible clients, and we're just having fun, continuing to innovate and do new things.
Well, and just to add flavor to that, you've been interviewed by and talked with Steve Blank, an icon in Silicon Valley. You have your own innovation blog, so there's lots more to the Kerry Frank story, which is fun to be part of. But for now, can you tell us a little bit about the vision for airports and why now seems to be a good time for
Yeah. Well, I actually live in airports, so I'm kind of an expert. As much as I travel, I like to say I've been studying airports for the last 8 years. But honestly, our software has started to already get into the airports. So a lot of the airlines are using it with their airport services. We have de-icers, fuelers, caterers that are using that right on the airports. And so we really see this trend now where airports are desperate to go mobile. And it's a complex problem, right? It's identity management of all your vendors, your contractors, your employees, your everyone you're audited by, Department of Homeland Security, the FAA, the TSA. It's so complex that it's been a struggle, and we have an entire platform of mobile-ready solutions that are turnkey for the airports. So we think the timing right now around communicating and collaborating and getting real-time information out to those mobile workforce is like an ever-present need, and we're ready to help them with our solutions that we've already made.
So it's, and building off of your success with 75% of the airlines now, you have a good understanding of what the environment looks like, but it sounds like there's, per your name, there's a compliance component in addition to the mobility, so it's making it easy to be compliant.
Yeah, so airports are very similar to what we deal with. Airports have, ever-changing days, right? You don't even know what your day might end up at an airport, so you have this change that's rapid, but you also have safety and compliance that are key, that you always have to be, keeping those routine things so that you're always in compliance with your regulators and you have the best safety policies and procedures, as well as training goes into compliance. And so we look at that core set of, very complex problems and challenges that an airport might have to be in compliance with all those things. We make that simple, and then we leverage mobility to deliver those solutions to those end users.
And I remember you telling me a story about one of your airline customers where the use of your product was almost organic, like every little group heard about it and they had their own use cases, and it just evolved into multiple different ways. So what are some of the use cases that you envision that airports might be able to benefit from your mobility platform?
Yeah, we have a lot of ideas, and I think every airport is very individual on their needs. So my ideas for every airport may be different. You may be having a pain point today at your airport that's totally different, but just simple things like public safety areas right now are a really big challenge of how do we protect those and how do we communicate quickly and efficiently. So what do we do if a bag is sitting by itself, and how do we instantly collaborate around that instead of this one-way communication that we do with radios or cell phones, but we can instantly collaborate with an encrypted chat and bring in the right individuals at the right time. And that's simple policy things. We have new TSA documentation that has to get out to the entire airport ecosystem, or Department of Homeland Security published a new announcement today on some security threats that everyone needs to be aware of. Well, simply getting that out and making sure everybody has read it and understood the new procedure is like what we do all day long. So very simple use cases, badging, certification, and qualifications around badges. I'm sure that's got to be a nightmare for the kind of groups that airports have to manage. We can look at those kind of things and find a way to streamline. So when you go digital, the whole point is not just handing out a mobile device to an end user, it's a process efficiency. So how do we look at the back-end operation of an airport and drive efficiency and digitize the process to then become mobile? So you should at least see a big process efficiency as we digitize your kind of manual ways that you're operating today.
So when you say manual things, it's like hard copy forms or other ways that the airport's trying to get data now.
Yeah.
You digitize that. So there's probably a benefit in collecting the data, but is there also benefits in looking at the data on the back end or sharing it between, you mentioned other stakeholders like TSA or CBP?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing is you have to digitize, because if you can't get rid of paper, you can never see the data. So step one is us helping you figure out how to go electronic. Step two is what can we do once we have the data? And that data now can give us line of sight of what's really happening at the airport in real time. So we can give you dashboard analytics, we can give you real-time information to your managers, to your director of security. Everything can now be in the know, real time. So it's a beautiful thing to get you to that point, and that's where our clients are realizing the benefits are, they started with their, business case of just getting rid of paper, but now their business case have exploded with, now streamlining safety, streamlining compliance, all these different things, and seeing the data around how they're performing and able to make quick adjustments and then able to optimize their operation.
So I think there's a few things that jump out at me. Is one, there's a compliance element, so you're sort of actively enforcing that versus after the fact doing an audit or otherwise. There's a reporting component. There's a collaboration and coordination component, and it sounds like you've already had great success with airlines in that area. What vision do you have for the airports with that? Thinking of that organic growth.
Sure. Well, we're really excited because as we're continuing to connect all the different pieces within that airline and aviation ecosystem, the power of what we could all do together, is just amazing. So my big dream is to be able to leverage the airports and start to solve problems for them. But what if we could start connecting the ecosystem so one day we could communicate to the pilots that are landing at those airports or the flight attendants, and the power of what we could do with already having all those mobile users that are through there. And what if we had those extra set of eyes? And what if the airport could leverage that, because we're all in this industry together? So we have a pretty big vision. We want to start by, obviously providing some incredible business cases for the airports today, but in the future, the power of what we could all do together to actually, make our industry, one of the safest, and, combating a lot of the new threats that are hitting us on daily things with active shooters and all these other things. It's not good for our industry, right? And we really want to bring this whole industry together to actually just transform it and just combat these things real time head on.
That's a wonderful message of collaboration. I think you're absolutely right. The timing is great, and it's exciting. So as we right now get into sort of a roadshow talking to airports, and we're going to have all of your information up on the Accelerator site. Are there any thoughts that you want to sort of leave the audience with for this interview?
Yeah, I think, it's always a little bit scary to think about mobility, and I'm sure that there's been lots of meetings and maybe lots of vendors that have come in and, promised you the world, right? But, we're really experts at what we do, and you know, it's really interesting to sit down and have a talk with somebody from Comply365 because we can make really complex problems and we can simplify them for you. So it doesn't have to be scary. It's not going to be a 2-year implementation for you to get started. We just want to help you solve one problem, right? And if we can help you solve one problem, we can do that quickly. We can get you up and running in weeks or months, and then you can start to solve the next problem and the next problem. And that's how transformation happens in any company. So, you know, don't be scared about transformation. You know, really embrace it, because once you do, you'll outperform everybody else. And the faster you can digitize and the sooner you can get to those data analytics, you'll be a top performer.
Absolutely. Yep. Success breeds success. I think that's the right approach, and I think the timing is great as well. So, Kerry, thank you so much for coming into the studio today. I look forward to working with you. Yeah. And for all of you online today, thank you for joining us. You can find more information on Comply365 at the Accelerator website. And please join us again for the next iteration of the Innovation Interview series.